Hey everybody, and welcome to another action-packed edition of the OverMark Podcast. We're your hosts, TJ and Dave, and today we're going to be talking about Dynamite from May 21st, 2025, which was yesterday. We're recording this on the Thursday after, and we're going to have some other wrestling news after we review Dynamite. Wasn't too bad of a show. Spoiler, if that's all you want to hear. But as always, follow us on our social medias at OvermarkENT. All the four we always talk about, the YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and Twitter. And from that point, we'll go ahead and start off with the review here. It was, like we said, 5/21/25. They had an attendance of 2,130. The setup was for 2664, and so they had 534 left. It was in the Rio Rancho Event Center in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was funny because later in the show, they were really running that place down, huh?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of shit talk on New Mexico. I don't think that there have been very many wrestling events in Albuquerque or New Mexico in general. I'd have to look, but I feel like this is, maybe like one out of like five of like major promotions that have been there. I don't know why that word was so hard for me to say.
But yeah, so it started off with a segment between Hangman, Adam Page, and Will Ospreay. I guess Will Ospreay doesn't have a nickname, does he? But
no.
Tony Schiavone introduces Hangman, Adam Page, and Will Ospreay, recaps shown of their tense confrontation after teaming last week. Oh man, the stakes were pretty high, right? And the stakes are confirmed now that the winner gets the Owen Hart Cup and an AEW title match at All in Texas, which we already knew. Will Ospreay promo highlights. He jokes about needing security and says that they're not necessary. Asks Page if he still drinks, then offers him a beer. Page declines, and Ospreay respects it and sets the beer down. Reveals that he petitioned Tony Khan for this match to main event Double or Nothing. Says critics don't understand what's on the line. The Owen Hart Cup, the title shot at All in Texas, and the chance to bring back the pretty gold belt. He gets emotional, wants to see his wants his son to see him as the world champion at Forbidden Door at London, and says that he wants it more than Page does. Hangman Adam Page does his promo back, agrees that they both want it, but says for him it's personal. Admits that wasting 2 years of his life dealing with hate and resentment. He mentions a moment with his son at Christmas, staring at the window for something that won't return. Says he needs this for his wife and his family, for the fans, for himself, to prove that there's still light at the end of the tunnel. And he wants to show Ospreay that it's not too little, too late for the Hangman. And then after that, Ospreay wonders if Page would try to take him out like he did Christopher Daniels, and vows to not go down that road again. Says he wants to win clean and gain respect. He admits that he couldn't beat John Moxley, but Hangman Adam Page has, and then he wants that version of Page at Double or Nothing. Tells Page to meet him in the desert this Sunday. It's a shootout. Offers the beer again. This time, Page accepts. They leave the ring while maintaining deadlock stare towards the Owen Hart Cup. Also in the middle of that, too, he was telling Adam Page that, if you beat me, I'll have your back. So I just hope that, if I beat you, that you have my back. He's like, you don't have to be alone. He's like, we don't have to be friends, but, I'll be your backup. So, it looks like he, I think that's what Adam Page drank too, and it's funny because he's supposed to not be drinking and stuff. So maybe this was I don't think it's really a hint of anything bad. I think it's more that he's moved on, But
yeah, he's the new old Hangman. He's not a dick anymore. He's trying to be a good boy.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, this really wasn't a bad promo. It was about as good as it was going to get for a promo for Adam Page, which isn't good enough for me. But I know a lot of people are really into him, and Will Ospreay's filled with charisma. He's just fucking out there yelling. But I like Will Ospreay, and the shit that he says is believable. There's a difference, I believe Will Ospreay believes in what he's saying, whereas when it comes to Adam Page, I just don't believe that he believes it. It's.
Did you see this shit this weekend? Maybe I got fooled, and I misread or something. But he was talking about that he has autism. Is that a thing?
Will Ospreay?
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. And I think he was saying he has ADHD too or something. I don't know how legitimate that is. Like, if Will Ospreay has autism, then I guess fucking me and you have it too. You know?
I mean, yeah, it says here, yes, professional wrestler Will Ospreay has publicly stated that he is autistic. He has spoken openly about his diagnosis, sharing that it has helped him in his wrestling career by giving him a unique perspective and focus.
Yeah.
Ospreay has also shared that he has ADHD and dyslexia. Well, the richest guy in the world is autistic, so it would probably work out pretty good for him. He's doing a good job. I would have never even known that he was. But yeah, okay.
I mean,
so
it covers a whole bunch of different
news.
spectrums, but I suffer from ADHD. A lot of people in our age range do, and it's pretty rough, man. It sucks, and a lot of people kind of treat it as a joke, but it's I could go on and on about it, but the older you get, I feel like the more of a struggle it actually is, and unless you find your ways to deal with it and what works for you, and it's some rough shit. But we can go ahead and
worst part is being scatterbrained. Oh, speaking of scatterbrained, real quick, we were talking about that. I wasn't sure how many major wrestling promotional events have taken place in Albuquerque. In the 80s and early 90s, WWF ran a bunch of house shows there, so I don't know how major that is. And then there were 2 episodes of WCW Thunder there in 98, so I mean that's kind of big. And then they had a SmackDown in 2003 and SmackDown in 2006. So I mean that's been a long time since they've had a major promotion come through town there, almost 20 years. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, we're moving on here to we got an exciting match with Jon Moxley and the Young Bucks versus Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Swerve Strickland. And we're just going to jump right into it, and we'll save the commentary for the end. Joe and Moxley brawl to start. Hobbs versus Matt Jackson follows. Nick tags in, and they double team on Hobbs. Hobbs fights back and tags in Swerve. Swerve hits Nick with a backbreaker. All 6 men enter the ring, and a full-on brawl breaks out. It's a Donnybrook, as they would say in Southern wrestling back in the day. Moxley dives on Hobbs outside. Joe sets up a dive, interrupted by Buck's double super kick. Goddamn super kicks. We get some high spots in before the first break. Swerve hits Nick with a flatliner. Swerve dives to the outside. Joe lands a tope on both Bucks, and we go into an ad break on Max. That's awesome. We come back to some mid-match action. Sometimes we can't talk. I don't know why. Moxley is in control, stomping Hobbs. Nick tags in, but Hobbs overpowers him, which makes sense because he's friggin' giant. None of these guys should be manhandling him at all. Swerve tags back in and hits a big powerbomb on Nick. Outside assist by Mox and Matt leads to a control shift in the match. Nick hits a risky business for the 2 count. We get a little bit more offense from the Bucks, and I get a little bit more offended by the Bucks. Matt tags in, and an assist from Nick leads to another near fall. We get another ad break on Max. We're getting in near the end of the match here. We got a closing sequence. Mox tags back in. He hits Swerve. 2 count broken up by Joe. Mox applies a brutalizer. Swerve powers out and lands a headbutt and a double knockdown on Mox and Swerve. Matt tags in. Chaos breaks out. Hobbs spine busters Mox and Matt. These were pretty nice spine busters. He does a pretty good job out. He gets those dudes up there. Swerve on the top rope. The match devolves again. Bucks hit a double soup. You notice a trend here. I'm getting off topic here, but every time that these guys are in a match, there's some kind of notes. Match breaks down. Match devolves. Like, it's a trend with these guys. Anyway, Bucks hit double super kick on Joe. EVP trigger set up on Swerve. Joe traps Nick in the Coquina clutch. Swerve rolls up Matt for the win. I'm kind of surprised that they won here, which means that they probably won't win on the pay-per-view on Sunday. But the winners via pinfall are Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Swerve Strickland. Then we get some post-match chaos. The Death Riders do the run-in, and a brawl ensues. Shibata arrives to help even the odds. Marina Shafir is getting fended off by Willow, and Kenny Omega rushes in and goes after Wheeler Yuta. He hits a V trigger on Matt Jackson, and Swerve is setting up a table outside, and Claudio runs in and helps clear the ring. Bucks and the Death Riders run off through the crowd. Joe grabs a mic and begins to talk a bunch of trash to their opponents ahead of Double or Nothing. This was what it was. It was probably less offensive Buck stuff than what we see a lot of times, but it's the same stuff every time we see these guys in the ring, I feel like. I don't know. What did you think of all this, TJ?
Not much. I like Joe and Swerve.
Yeah. Hobbs is good too.
He's okay, but I mean, he never talks, and they haven't really done much with him. So if you want to talk about a history of people and what they've done and why I like them, then it would be based off that. But I don't know, man. I don't even want to shit on anybody or sound like a grumpy asshole, so I'm not even going to get into it too much. But the Bucks are only capable of having one type of match. Moxley's fucking terrible. I don't know. The only bright spots in this match are, Joe and Swerve, like I was saying, and Hobbs isn't bad. At least he's good for what he does. But these are just the kind of matches I think we talked about last week that you just space out in, and then like all of a sudden, like you're like, oh fuck, this shit's not over yet. It
used to be that you would you do the bathroom break during the girls matches, but now women's wrestling is so good that you don't want to miss that. So if there's a Moxley or a Bucks match, that's my break for the night from the show.
I wouldn't say the women thing necessarily about this show, and that'll be something that we get into a little bit later. Yeah. But overall,
I want 2019-2020 Mox back. Yeah. I know I keep beating that drum.
But I mean, overall, fuck this match and fuck most of the people involved in it, and probably don't need to be seeing this too much. And it's funny because like how you were talking about the breakdown and all that stuff, and all their matches do have that, but the problem is like almost all the other matches have it too. So it's like there's like everybody knows, they're not really doing production meetings. So it's like, if they actually were and the people were coming up and they're like, yeah, no, I'm doing that, we're actually doing that in our match, it's like, oh well, we probably shouldn't do it in ours, just
right,
stuff like that. Just obvious stupid shit. But where we at now? MJF and the Hurt Syndicate?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, that was the...
No, you're good. Now this was this is the best stuff of the show right here.
Probably.
Down. And it probably was last week too. Everybody involved in this is good, and this is what we were talking about earlier with them shitting on what was it, fucking Albuquerque, wherever the fuck
Albuquerque.
Yeah. But backstage and in ring, crowd reaction, loud cheers for Syndicate, strong boost for MJF. Backstage, the Hurt Syndicate and their legal team meet MJF and his legal counsel, Mark Sterling. MVP tells MJF that they'll see him in the ring. MJF and Sterling shake hands with the Syndicate's counsel as the segment fades to commercial. In-ring segment, post-commercial, the Hurt Syndicate enters the loud chants of "We Hurt People." A video recap shows Lashley giving him thumbs up for MJF's inclusion. MJF speaks, MVP speaks. Their names are pretty similar. He acknowledges the crowd's boos and says that they're only booing because MJF is better than them. It's funny because he hasn't really been a straight-up heel MVP yet, but he was last night.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Him and MJF ripping the crowd was awesome. I don't think that was something that they worked out. The crowd was just being kind of rowdy during their segment, so they just let him have it.
Yeah, it was fucking hilarious. But officially introduces MJF as the newest member of the Hurt Syndicate. Says that his mom, MJF's promo, he says that his mom once told him that the most important day of his life would be when he married the love of his life, but she never joined the Hurt Syndicate. The crowd boos. MVP cuts in again, stalling for Friedman. It was funny. Yeah, he was just running it down like, "You're all so upset because you live here." He's like, "What's there to look forward to? All your sports teams suck. Nobody wants to play here."
They don't even have sports teams. Yeah. That's what they were running him out about. And part that got edited out of the notes there for some reason is MJF said, "But that bitch never joined the Hurt Syndicate."
Oh yeah, damn. But Mark Sterling declares the deal satisfied both parties. MJF signs the contract. Shelton Benjamin signs next. Lashley takes a moment, confers with Benjamin and the council, and then signs. MJF celebrates, putting on a Syndicate hat, but is interrupted. The Sons of Texas interrupt. Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara confront the group. Dustin and MJF talked. Dustin says MJF talks too much and warns MVP that MJF is a snake in the grass. Reminds the crowd that they're undefeated ROH Tag Champions. Says Sunday at Double or Nothing won't be a walk in the park. They have heart, hustle, and loyalty. Challenges the Syndicate to try to hurt them if they can. I like Dustin, and he cut a really good promo, actually. That right there doesn't really sell what he did. He cut a passionate promo, but this thing's kind of just shoehorned in,
It's not so much what he said, it is about his delivery.
Yeah, but this is just this little program between them just shoehorned in because they don't have anything else. But
right. But at least it's a bunch of quality people. Even Guevara,
yeah.
I
like
normally
Sammy.
I should.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. He hasn't landed on anybody's head in a long time. So
they haven't been shoving him down your throat lately, like they do Daniel Garcia.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be tired of him because it's like, oh, okay.
Fuck Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, they're not getting you tired of him yet. But
send that guy to Game Changer Wrestling ASAP.
We got this segment here with Okada challenging Mike Bailey.
Oh boy,
talk about that.
I guess a little. So we get a backstage interview with Okada, and he addresses Mike Speedball Bailey directly. He says that Bailey doesn't get to call him out. He calls out Speedball. He officially challenges Bailey to a Continental Championship match at Double or Nothing. He ends the promo with confidence, saying, "I will leave still holding the title. Trust me." I was kind of surprised that he didn't call him bitch here. Usually his thing is he's calling somebody a bitch every time. This was a, all right little promo. I like Okada. I don't like how they've used him, but he's more talented than what we see on TV every week. How'd you like this little Okada thing?
Not too much to say about it. It happened. I guess it was okay, but in the end, he's like wrestling Mike Bailey. So, what the fuck's there to say about that? Nothing, right?
I really hope this is not a 5-hour show on Sunday.
It's gonna be 7 hours, like all of them are fucking are. You keep forgetting, if you watch the whole thing, it's 7 hours.
I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
Yeah. Well, I might be there with you. The dogs are exhausted by this shit because they'll wrestle when wrestling's on, but then 7 hours of it, they're done.
I guess if you wanted to tire your dogs out, you just throw wrestling on Peacock or Netflix or something and just fucking let them go.
It's got to have the live energy. They know.
Yeah. They're like, oh no, we heard these cheers already.
But we'll go ahead and move on. Not too much to say about that last thing. It's Anthony Bowens versus Ricochet next. So they come. Opening sequence: Ricochet mocks Billy Gunn before the bell. I kind of weird. I stopped there because Bowens' entrance or whatever happened. They both had entrances, but it didn't really say that in the thing. But I was going to comment that Bowens' entrance isn't too bad. I like his music, and his shirt is really, really fucking goofy. I could do without the shirt, but I like him and Billy Gunn, and it'll be cool if they actually have him do something. But right now they're just keeping him busy with some matches, Not too much going on there, but Ricochet mocks Billy Gunn before the bell. Bowens cuts him off with corner chops. Ricochet mounts a brief comeback, but Bowens regains control and sends him to the outside. Ricochet mounts off at Gunn again, who makes him flinch. Bowens bops Ricochet on the head and throws him into the barricade. Gunn tosses Ricochet back into the ring, prompting an argument with the referee. Ricochet takes advantage and drops Bowens onto the apron before we cut to a full commercial break on Max. I guess it could have been on TNT too. But back from the break, Ricochet dominates early, but Bowens lands a kick and leg lariat for momentum. Bowens hits a big slam for a near fall. The two trade strikes until Bowens lands a super kick for another near fall. Ricochet counters with a knee strike and a head kick. He goes for the spirit gun, but Bowens hits the rival instead. Follow-up mollywop sends Ricochet out of the ring. We got to the finish here, and Billy Gunn tries to help Bowens by returning Ricochet to the ring, but the ref argues with Gunn again. Ricochet sneaks a pair of scissors, striking Bowens in the head. Ricochet then hits the spirit gun and steals the pin. So that was the official result there. Ricochet by pinfall after the scissors. Post-match, Ricochet celebrates on the ramp. I got a speech impediment tonight. until Mark Briscoe rushes out with a stretcher, nearly mowing him down. Ricochet evades further attack and escapes. Commentary closes out by running down the Double or Nothing card. So that's like since they're wrestling at the pay-per-view, they keep having Mark Briscoe come out and chase him around. It's kind of weird. You think they might have something a little bit more than that, considering Mark's probably like one of the best promos on the show.
I mean, the people that are wrestling on the pay-per-view most assuredly shouldn't be wrestling on the show the week of the pay-per-view. Fuck, it's kind of stupid. I mean, you can do it sometimes, but they got 150 fucking people on the roster. Yeah, throw a filler match on that doesn't have one of these guys, and then have them do like just a fucking promo where they get in a fight with somebody or something. Putting these guys out here to work matches where they're doing all these fucking dives and all this shit where they could get hurt the week of the pay-per-view doesn't make much sense. But thankfully nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
That's about the best thing I could say about this.
And some other guys that didn't hurt anybody, I think. We got FTR sending a message ahead of Collision.
So that happened. Okay, so Big Stoke speaks on behalf of FTR. He's addressing their upcoming match at Double or Nothing against Nigel McGuinness and fucking Daniel Garcia. Fuck Daniel Garcia, man. God damn. We got to talk about that. Anyway, sorry. FTR demands to look their opponents in the eyes before signing the contract. Dak specifically wants to see the look in Nigel's eyes when he signs the final contract of his pro wrestling career. FTR confirms they'll be face-to-face with Nigel and Garcia at Collision for the official signing. FTR promises a direct confrontation before Double or Nothing. Top guys out. And, man, I don't know. I love FTR, but it feels like they have been so devalued over like the last year or so. It's really unfortunate.
They have, but that doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying what they're doing. Like they can cut good heel promos. It's just there's not much. Nigel McGuinness is cool, but Daniel Garcia, not so much. I'm not really looking forward to the match, just because anything with Daniel Garcia is pretty much an instant no from me. And I'll still be watching it, and I'm sure it will be a decent match. But I just can't sign off on anything that's got that dumb, goofy looking motherfucker in it.
He's a groomer. No, I'm just kidding. We shouldn't say that.
Well, his hair, yeah. So you're not lying.
Yeah.
But we got the next segment here with Hayter and Moné facing off before the Owen Hart final. This wasn't too bad. Mercedes Moné. Yeah, well, Mercedes Moné still fucking just completely phony. Can't talk worth a fuck. She's like stiff as a board when she's doing her promos. But anyways, we go to ringside here, and we got a strong anticipation for the big reaction for both women. Renee Paquette is in the ring and introduces the two finalists for the Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Hayter and Moné refers to Hayter as the underdog. Hayter embraces it, saying she's a fighter, not a pretender. Jamie says this match means more to her than Mercedes. It's about not being forgotten, not just about a title shot. Renee asks Mercedes if she's worried that Jamie could be the first to defeat her in AEW. Moné responds, "Do you know who the hell you're talking to? Calls herself more than a champion. She's a revolution. She's not looking past Hayter. She's looking straight through her, calling Jamie a glass doll. Says this is about legacy, not just victory, and that Jamie's story ends this Sunday." Jamie fires back, says something seems different about Mercedes tonight. Maybe it's because she lost the NJPW women's strong women's title. Adds, maybe that was your destiny, and maybe your destiny is to lose everything. Then we got another brawl here. Like she gets up and socks Moné socks Hayter in the head and snaps her neck back. And Jamie fights back when she gets up, but hits the Hayterade on Moné. Tony Storm's music hits, and the AEW World Champion heads to commentary. Like I said, this was okay. Jamie Hayter's not bad. She talks and she has confidence, and the stuff she was wearing tonight didn't look as bad as that like green pea soup looking outfit. But what do you think?
They got Tony Storm acts like she's a gal from the 40s, and Jamie Hayter acts like she's a gal from the 70s. We just need some 80s and 90s women in here, and we'll have the whole fucking last half of the century. The promo was pretty good. It'd probably be a pretty good match. This is maybe one of the better matches on the card on paper, but we'll see. That's really about it. I don't think a whole lot beyond that. And speaking of not thinking, now we've got our match coming up. As you guys had heard, Tony Storm came out to do commentary for the match, and that match is newly signed Mina Shirakawa versus Julia Hart.
Tony Storm's outfit was badass looking. The whole Japanese gimmick thing that she had going on, it looked really good.
Yeah, very cool. Stylish. But anyway, the match gets started with a lockup, and Mina sends Julia to the ropes, but Hart counters with a hip toss. Julia works Mina's arm before walking the ropes and hitting a clothesline to the shoulder. It's a pretty cool little move. She's mixing it up a little bit. Mina counters with a sliding lariat and sends Julia to the mat, cutting her off in the corner. She exits the ring to taunt Tony Storm, a crucial mistake that gives Julia an opening. Hart sends Mina to the apron, regains control, and we go to a full ad break. And then when we come back from the break, Mina regains momentum with a rolling elbow and some corner offense. Julia blocks a follow-up and catches Mina in the tarantula submission on the ropes. I do like that submission. It's pretty cool. It's broken up by the ref. Mina hits a spinning back fist and drives Julia to the mat for a 2 count. Julia blocks the glamorous driver and drags Mina to the corner to go for a moonsault, but Mina dodges. And Julia may have tweaked her knee a little bit there on that spot. We're not sure. It just kind of looked like it, so it's in the notes. Hopefully she's all right, though. Mina attempts a submission, but Julia counters for a near fall. Another spinning back fist by Mina, followed by another glamorous driver attempt, but Julia counters again for 2. Mina finally breaks free and clutches Hart for a tight pinfall. The finish is Mina counters Hart momentum into a quick pin, and she wins via pinfall. After the match, we get a little bit of a brawl and some other stuff going on. Julia Hart attacks Mina post-match, and Sky Blue does the run-in, and they're doing a 2-on-1 beatdown on her. Tony Storm hits the ring, throwing Sky out and punching Hart. Mina returns the favor with a punch to Julia as well. Mina and Tony have a heated stare down as Mina grabs the AEW Women's World Championship. Tensions boil over. Tony is trapped in the corner, and Mina locks in a figure 4 around the ring post. Like what Bret Hart used to do when we were kids. A pretty cool little thing there. I haven't seen that probably since like 1997 or 98, so that's cool. Luther and the ref try to break it up. Mina finally releases the hold and retreats up the ramp as her music plays. Luther checks on Tony while commentary hypes up Collision, and yeah, that segment's over. Pretty decent match. Nice little build towards the pay-per-view at the end. Cool figure 4 around the ring post. What did you think of all this?
I don't know. Again, not too much. This couldn't hold my attention. I kind of felt pissed off that they passed this match off as their main event. This isn't a main event on any show in any wrestling organization in the world, I guess, except some small indies. And I don't know. Fuck Tony Khan for putting this shit on as a main event. That's cheap, lazy, a waste of time, and you're never going to grow your company putting this kind of matches on your main event on your show. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and then there was another little segment that happened after that. Believe it or not, even though that was the main event, it wasn't the end of the show. Why don't you tell us about what happened there afterwards?
Backstage, the Young Bucks are seen leaving, mocking the Ops and the threats earlier in the night. Hobbs and Samoa Joe jump them from behind, igniting a massive brawl backstage. You hear the word brawl a lot in the show. A lot of brawls.
Yeah.
But the Death Riders, Moxley and Claudio, enter the fray, soon joined by Willow Nightingale, Swerve Strickland, and Shibata. The brawl breaks out at ringside as Dynamite theme music plays, creating a surreal fight during the show close feel. In the ring, Swerve throws Nicholas Jackson into the ring. Brawling continues outside. Moxley focuses his assault on Samoa Joe on the floor. The twist, Gabe Kidd appears out of nowhere, blindsiding Samoa Joe. Chaos intensifies. Kidd targets Kenny Omega in the ring. Is he even in the fucking match?
No.
Yeah, and then weapon warfare. The Bucks pull out a table and a trash can, throw in the can at Omega. They set up Omega and Swerve on 2 separate tables ringside. The Bucks drive both men through the table in brutal fashion. So Omega and Swerve laid out. The Bucks music hits. Death Riders and the Young Bucks stand tall. Getting momentum going into Anarchy in the arena. I don't know. That's cool, I guess. I don't have much to say about that either. Like, it's... I don't know. It's a shitty last 20 minutes. Like, I'm not trying to shit on the girls, by the way, either. Like, it's not their fault in the position they were in, but that should have been like the second segment on the show, you know. They can do a good enough little wrestling match and all that, but in the end, like, you want to like build your show and make the main event something that like you hype anticipation for during the match and or during the show. You know, you want to hype, build it up the whole time. Like, that's what they did on Monday with Raw. You know, they have all the whole main event scene doing these little segments throughout the show that leads to the main event, and you saw the reaction there at the end towards that match, right?
One of the hottest crowd reactions since the Attitude Era.
Yeah, like it was some pretty good stuff, and I don't know. I'm just hoping that they learn from all this junk and maybe put some matches that are actually like, you know, worth having. Like, they're like, if you want to go the route where people have random matches, you would at least have your fucking stars put in these. Like, remember they would just have the random tags with certain stars or just random battle royals to showcase the people that, you know, if you have a good enough roster, that'll work sometimes. But when you don't build anybody, you can't really do those like special exhibition matches and put them off on a main event, right? Remember like here and there they'd be like, oh, for the first time ever, these two guys are wrestling, and they would hype it the whole match, like back in the day, right? Or not, I keep saying that, the whole show, like that first ever.
Yeah, and by the time you got to that main event, everybody was like, oh, they were like thirsty to see that.
Yeah, but I don't know, just something for them to hopefully improve on. You know, the shows are getting better, I feel like, as a whole compared to what they were.
Overall it was a decent show. I mean, it was better than their average shows.
I'm shitting on the end mainly, and I don't know. You just if you're going to come to our channel and you're not expecting us to shit on the Bucks, you're going to be disappointed almost every time. You know, it's just the sad reality. Mina,
you know, if they do
Dave
something cool, we'll give them props. You know, if they have a good match or whatever, because these guys are capable of having good matches and doing cool things. They just more often than not do the stuff like what we saw this evening.
But the good matches that you're talking about were with FTR or Kenny and Hangman. Name any other matches that were good.
Lucha Bros.
I know, but come on, man. They were the same fucking matches every time. Yeah. There was nothing different going on. They were good matches, but there's nothing unique going on there. It's a lot of the stuff they were doing, guys can do on the indies and do it every night in fucking gyms. Not trying to shit on their talent, they do have it, but I mean, we're not
shitting on shows in gyms either. You know, everybody's got to earn a living somehow.
No, I'm just saying, there's a lot of talented guys out there that aren't them that can do that shit. It's not just them. You know, it's just the indie style, and that's what the Bucks do. They just scream indie, right? Everything about them, and that's not bad. But they haven't grown on from that, and it's I think it's hindered them a lot.
Quite a bit. But so that's AEW Dynamite for this week, and we got the pay-per-view this Sunday, competing against the NXT PLE, the Battleground. I don't think that we'll cover that. You know, maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't, and maybe I'll have a little bit of comments about it. But
we keep having all these weeks where, like, I feel like, man, there's going to be a lot of wrestling to talk about this week. And then you feel like, oh, well, there's going to be a break next week. But these things aren't like we're doing 2 companies. But so if they're doing a pay-per-view every month, you know, you're going to have like 2 pay-per-views a fucking month. And if they're not on the same date, then that's an extra fucking day during those 2 weeks. And then they got NXT doing the pay-per-views, which we don't cover. But, you know, then WWE has these special events like the Saturday night main event. So it's never ending. Like right now, Collision's going on right now.
Yep.
It is 8:08 p.m.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch it after we finish the show.
Yeah,
maybe I'll watch it tomorrow or something. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I might collide with the pillow instead. I don't know.
Well, that's going to happen regardless.
Yeah, but anyway, on to the recent news. We got some stuff going on here. We were just talking about the AEW in Albuquerque, and reports surfaced yesterday that AEW was paying over $100 per person for seat fillers at the event. The taping included Dynamite and Collision. They filmed them both on the same night. Multiple attendees and sources confirmed compensation for showing up and sitting ringside throughout the evening. Imagine getting paid to go sit ringside at a wrestling event. That sounds awesome. That's just me though. Additionally, arena staff and surrounding employees were offered free tickets to give out to people that they knew to help pad the attendance numbers. This raises questions about AEW's current attendance strategy and public perception management. This kind of, I mean, companies have padded attendance numbers for a long time, but
those companies aren't having 2,000 people in a fucking arena. They probably have double that, and they just didn't, they weren't comfortable with 4,000, so they wanted 5.
Right, and they are. What do they have? Like 2,000 something, and that said that there was like 500 tickets that they didn't sell.
Yeah.
So how many of these tickets did they pay people the $100 and give to them, and how many tickets did they give away to these employees and shit like that?
So, you remember like who was it? Maven that visited Tony.
Yeah, it was actually a decent video.
Yeah, but
it seemed like it's probably a work, but it was.
This goes along with what I was saying. It felt like it was kind of like a paid thing. It wasn't random. Like it was kind of like at the time it felt like there was a lot of positive stuff popping up in the news with Tony. Like, remember some random guy that you never heard of posted these max viewership figures that weren't necessarily real, or people just didn't understand what they were. And I don't know. I feel like you can spin this shit however you want, but when it comes to viewership and attendance, there's no sugarcoating it. They're not doing great, And when people are trying to like celebrate like having a show that does like 630K, like it kind of shows you how far this shit's fallen. And I know that they have more people watching the show with Max, and it's not all bad. And the pay-per-views do pretty well. They've got to be the number 2 pay-per-view selling company on the planet right now. It's if you're not counting boxing, but if you're counting like people that do it like every month as a company, it's like UFC and then AEW, I believe. They're doing like around 100 to 150K every time. That's pretty impressive to me. But beyond that, they don't know their markets. I've really been liking these smaller places that they go to, and when they can fill a place with like 3,000 people, it's not bad. But they're definitely giving away military tickets for free in every show that they go to. I've actually experienced seeing the seat fillers at events that I've been to before. I was kind of confused, but I think it's actually the first AEW event that I went to. I was like almost like at the front row. I was like probably like fourth row, third row. And I saw this group of people running around, and it's like the AEW staff were like kind of like showing them where to sit, I guess, to make it look better for that segment. And, they're not the first company in the world to do this, but if you want to spin perception, reality is perception, right? And just, it's not the best look. But what are you going to do? But we can jump into the next one that's kind of pretty related to this. But AEW Dynamite dropped this week for 514 versus 521. So the 514 episode, which was last week, they had 682. They actually were showing a positive trend, They were going up a little bit here and there, which is pretty decent.
Yep.
If they started to crawl back into 700K, I think it'd be a really big win for them, especially considering they have the Max stuff going on. Then it's wouldn't be bad, but it seems like every time they take a step forward, a big one back happens. But then we jumped to this week yesterday, and it was May 21st, 2025, and the viewership was down to 575K. That's a huge drop, that's over 100K, and if you do the percentage of their audience, that's a large fucking chunk. Their demo was down too. The demo last week was 0.17, and then this week it was 0.15. It's a 107K difference, and then their demo was 0.02. Just it's a large decline, and who knows if it's fan fatigue, increased competition, disinterest in the current storylines. But I don't know. This just comes days before Double or Nothing, which is their pay-per-view that's happening, and usually the go-home show would get steady viewership to be better, right? But
and that may not bode well for the purchasing of the pay-per-view if that many people are disinterested in watching your show to the show before the pay-per-view. It doesn't really speak well to fan interest. But yeah, like you said, it could have been fan fatigue, or the increased competition. I don't know what else
the
was on
competition
TV
was
that
there
night.
last year this week, man, and
didn't they do really good last week against like basketball or something?
Go ahead.
I think that might have been Collision.
Look that up if you want, if we got time. I mean, I don't know if we do, but I just know that there was multiple times this year where the same exact thing has happened, and that's been the excuse, and it was nowhere near those numbers. I can't pull them off at the top of my head, but it happened last month. Pretty sure it happened the month before that. And you bring this stuff up to certain people, and they never have an answer for it, right? They're kind of I don't know what to put it.
They get really indignant with you, and it's like, well, I'm not offering you an opinion or being negative.
It just is what
I'm offering you, statistical, factual information. WrestleNomics doesn't lie. It's the standard for all of this information that everybody looks at that does wrestling news, wrestling podcasts. Like all of that information either comes from WrestleNomics, which is an easy place to be able to get it because it's all there right in front of you, or you have to go to Nielsen and sift through everything, which WrestleNomics has already done for you. So why wouldn't you just look at their website? Yeah. But
That's
anyway,
a very good point.
And just do better with your show so that it doesn't lose 107,000 people week to week. If you keep doing that, you'll be off the fucking air pretty soon.
I want to add one more thing too before we move on to the next one, but I know I'm a little bit harsh, and I know Dave can be too, but it's mainly because we're just passionate, and I feel like, and I think Dave will share the same opinion with me, that this is going to be the only billionaire that's going to privately fund a wrestling company in our lifetime. It's the only shot that we have in our lifetime for a legitimate competitor with WWE. If this doesn't succeed, we will never see this again. I can promise you that. It will never, ever happen. So, just take that for what it is, and just, hold these companies accountable to have a better product, WWE and AEW. But WWE isn't going anywhere. And I don't think AEW is, because even if they're not making money, they have a lot of money in the family. So they'll keep this going as long as they want to. But, just...
we didn't have a show in 2019, 2020, but, I honestly was more of a fan of AEW in those probably like first 3 years. And, because there was competition, it forced WWE to step their game up and improve their product. And now they're back to being the superior product. Hopefully AEW figures it out, because, those first 2 or 3 years, man, were really something special. And I don't know what has happened, but something. But anyway, moving on.
They say every good booker only has a year, right, or 2, and then you should switch it off and on. Remember, that's what they did back in the day with a lot of them.
Yep. NWA and WCW did that a lot early on.
Yep, but I think that was like Dusty's thing. He'd do it and then be like, all right, I need a break. But take us on to the next one.
That's how they got RoboCop. But anyway, breaking news today. It's not breaking news as of right now. It's a few hours old, but we're doing the show now. WrestleNomics reports on WrestleMania 42 relocation. The WrestleNomics received a statement from the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. So this is a legitimate thing. This isn't just some random website making up some stuff. The city will not be hosting WrestleMania 42 in 2026, as originally announced by the WWE during SmackDown. Instead, New Orleans is now set to host UFC 318 on July 19th, so not too long from now. And they're going to get a Money in the Bank July 2026, which is not a WrestleMania, but it's a show. And the joint statement released by both highlights the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation and the New Orleans Company, New Orleans and Company, confirms the partnership expansion with TKO Group Holdings. That's the WWE and UFC parent company for the uninitiated. And WrestleMania will be rescheduled for a future year. So they are going to get a WrestleMania, just not in 2026 as planned. And as at time of the reporting, WWE has not commented or confirmed the change. A new location has not been announced. We'll actually have a little bit of news on that after this segment, because while we were doing the prep, some other news came out. The reason for the scheduling change remains unclear. New Orleans and Company is a tourism marketing group for the city. So, they're abreast of what's going on with this sort of stuff, because part of their job is to, market the tourism things that are the goings on of things that bring tourists to the area. Man, that was hard to spell out. And yeah. So what did you think about when you heard all this today?
I mean, it's pretty much thought it just comes down to money, I don't know exactly what it was, and I probably really don't have to, In the end, that's what it always comes down to, right? Somebody either offered more money or something. Somebody didn't like some part of the deal, so somebody didn't like what they were getting on either end, and I'm sure they'll do business down the road, but somewhere along the line, some money's involved, and everybody will come out fine here, because they're definitely going to go back to that place. They're going to be in New Orleans for sure. That's like that's just, they love doing WrestleMania there. It always turns out fucking great. So just nothing to worry about here. Everything will be good, and everybody will enjoy the WrestleMania wherever the fuck it's at, and WrestleMania will be fine.
Yeah.
Pretty much about it.
Well, we got a little bit more here.
The WrestleMania.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, why don't you take us into the next part, which ties into what we were just talking about, actually.
Okay. Hold up. What exactly are you talking about?
Okay. Well, while we were doing the prep for today's show, some new news on the subject of what we were just talking about came out. And it's down here at the bottom here. According to WrestleOps, which is a pretty reliable source for wrestling news information.
You're saying that they're going to relocate the event to Vegas once again, based on the comments from an industry official. This is also being reported by PW Insider that this would mark the second straight year that WrestleMania takes place in Las Vegas, following the success of WrestleMania 41 at the Allegiant Stadium. As of now, WWE is not officially confirmed Las Vegas is a new host city for WrestleMania 42, but industry sources strongly indicate that the announcement's forthcoming, which makes sense. I mean, that's where they isn't that where 30 was at?
That's where it was last year. I don't know about 30, but and then they had 9 there, or 8 but that one sucked. But
you didn't like it.
This is probably a thing.
30 was in New Orleans.
Okay. I've been scrolling through the news here as we've been doing the show, just in case there was any kind of like breaking stuff this evening, and a lot of places, even Fightful is running with this now, so it's looking like it's probably going to legitimately be in Vegas. All the big named sources now are starting to say that that's what it's looking like, so that's what it's looking like. So we'll get another Vegas WrestleMania potentially.
And then they'll do New Orleans soon too. But yeah, that's what I remember.
It'll probably be like 43 or 44. It'll be within the next year or two.
Yeah, just they bring so much business to wherever they take Mania to. It's funny, like people, if you're not aware, it happens for SummerSlam and I think Royal Rumble too. These cities, towns, states, whatever the correct term is, who's ever doing it, bids for these events. They're literally paying WWE to come over there because that's how much money they bring into their economy that week. It's pretty wild stuff, but like I said, everybody's going to be fine. There's going to be plenty of money to go around, and everybody will be happy. And New Orleans will get their show. Vegas will get theirs, if that's what it is. They're talking about doing one in Canada at one point, I think, too, which should be fucking nuts. But that's like way down the road, and I don't think that's going to be anything.
That's been a long time since we got a Canadian Mania. I think the last one was Hogan Rock, WrestleMania 19.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that might be like 2030 type thing. It's a while off, but unless you got anything to add, I can wrap us up here.
Why don't you take us home?
This is a good week of wrestling so far. We have plenty more of it, so we'd like everybody to stay tuned and check us out. We're going to be covering everything from the WWE Saturday Night Main Event to the AEW pay-per-view this weekend, and we're going to talk about Collision later. So, I mean, there's plenty more to come, and we're going to shout out to our social media like always, OverMark ENT, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram. We're starting to gain some traction on our platforms, and if anybody's that's been checking it out, we appreciate you helping us grow them. Again, anything you guys got suggestions, we're here to listen to them, and we appreciate you listening. We got our Overmaniacs out there, and the army's growing, and just keep liking the videos, keep subbing, tell your friends about us, and thanks for listening.
Everybody have a good night. We'll see you this weekend for some
plenty,
whole lot of wrestling content. Holy shit.
Yep.
Looking at everything. It's a lot. Anyway, see you guys next time.
Yep. See you guys then.